And welcome back, everyone, to part 3 of What If Ichigo was part Saiyan. Last time we had the Soul Society arc, and it ended. Now, house cleaning, as I like to call it, answering some of the questions you guys brought up. One, someone asked, why are you nerfing Ichigo? To my answer, to which I say, believe me, I am not nerfing Ichigo. Now let me rephrase this. Am I nerfing Ichigo in the sense that I'm not giving him a consistent Super Saiyan form at the moment? I'm not saying he wouldn't have it at the end of this video. I'm just saying in the last two, it was something he couldn't really hold on to very long. If you want to call that nerfing him, then yes, I am nerfing him. I don't call that nerfing him because Ichigo probably doesn't even realize he's a Saiyan. Like, he doesn't understand that he isn't human, like, technically at all. Wow, that's not true. He's still partly human, but it's like at this point, it's like a he's Shinigami, which isn't human. He's Hollow, which isn't human. Quincy's are human, but they're technically more than. That one's a weird one. And Saiyans aren't human, so he's got. And then he's got a 5-way mix in there. So he's like, at best, he's 20% human, maybe 40. But point being, I thought it was proper to have Super Saiyan be something he's not very accustomed to, because it's something he's probably not focusing his training on at this time. He's focusing his training on the Shinigami arts, which involve his Zanpakuto, fighting with his Zord, all that. That has little to do with Super Saiyan form. Super Saiyan form is probably something that he knows he can do it, but it's because he doesn't train often with it. He's not very well versed in it at this time. So call it nerfing if you will. I don't call that nerfing. Now, in terms of how strong he is comparatively, I'll say this. Adding a multiplier like this into an anime that doesn't use multipliers in this way, you have to be careful with your storytelling, because I could theoretically make Ichigo the most hacked son of a bitch in the world, but that might not inherently play out. Add on to the fact that despite the 50 times multiplier, I think a lot of people sleep on the power tier level of the Bleachverse. There are some hacks, some other efforts that would give even Dragon Ball characters a good run for their money. Particularly when you're dealing with like Yamamoto, Ichibei, Soul King. Prime Soul King could wipe the floor with just about anyone in the DBZ universe, save probably like Zeno or like a Grand Priest or something like that. And I'm including Beerus in that, by the way. Prime Soul, Beerus, Goku, like anyone who's a universal, possibly even multiversal level individual in that universe, save for the Soul King, the Prime Soul King would theoretically wipe the floor with any of them. But that's a different video entirely. On to the one other question that's been asked. It's been asked twice, so I should address it. What about the shipping? What about the pairings? Ichigo shouldn't be going with Orihime because Saiyans are attracted to more strong-willed women. Yes, and you could make the argument that even Gohan had that go down with like Videl and stuff like that, who is a very strong-willed woman, very feisty, very commanding. She has a lot of fire in her. But the problem is, you dilute that down the lineage enough times, that I don't think is really going to be playing a factor anymore. I'm not saying he wouldn't be maybe attracted to a woman who's very, sure of herself, has a strong will, all that. But I don't think that's really matters as much here. Hell, Ichigo, by the way, Ichigo didn't get with Orihime until after the series was over anyways. Well, technically, we got the epilogue chapter, but you get what I mean. And, by the way, who's to say Orihime doesn't fall into that category? I'm sorry. Well, I'm not a Orihime hater. I acknowledge there's some issues with her character. A little too innocent, a little too ditzy. But do not mistake any of that for someone who isn't strong-willed, who isn't willing to put the effort in, who isn't a strong woman. Is she, comparatively to someone like Yoruichi, a strong woman? No, I would definitely not say that, or feisty or anything like that. No. But we've seen multiple times, be in the Soul Society where she wanted to fight despite, being told, no, it's not a good idea. She was being stubborn. She was being feisty. She tried to get out of the Maki's hand. He had to knock her out. There's a more soft kindness to her, there is also a strength to her. Now, That being said, if Ichigo were, say, like a Gohan type level, like half Saiyan or full Saiyan, would he be more interested in something like Tatsuki, for example? Oh, Tatsuki would be a perfect like shipping poor Ichigo in that sense. But because Ichigo is diluted to like at least 20% here, I don't see it being as big of an issue. Plus, whatever pairing would be with Ichigo wouldn't happen till the very end of the series anyway, because unlike with, say, a Naruto What If, where you could make an argument, I can make arguments for dating within the story, which I have done, Bleach doesn't lend itself to that a lot. Not to say it can't happen, but at least in this particular story, this is not a change that I think would really happen. Ichigo's personality, by the way, is also not one that is really obsessed with girls that much. Naruto was very much pining for like Sakura and all that, but no. But anyway, now that I'm almost 6 minutes in and people are saying, get on with it. It took you this long to do it. Yeah, let's get into it. So we cut back to after the Soul Society and the Arrancar arc is starting up. Ichigo wasn't, I'm trying to remember this as best I can. Ichigo wasn't really feeling problems with his hollow. He was feeling something was off, but as far as I remember, he wasn't having any issues with his hollow until Yami and Ukiura showed up. Now, if I remember correctly, there was some moments where he's just like, I can't let something's off. No, I'm the one in control here. Don't worry. And so when he shows up to save Rukia and Chad from Yami, he's immediately just like, he's got his Shikai, and because he's stronger here, he is able to kind of stop Yami's hand, and even give him like, he even pierced my arrow. Ukiura, is this him? Yes, this is the one right here to see. Are you the one that did that shit? And what if I was? Well, then I'm gonna kill you. And there's Bankai! And he goes Bankai, and again, he immediately starts to wail on Yami. Even probably harder here. Like, not only does he take off Yami's arm, he probably cuts him up a little bit too. And he's about to go, and he's about to go Super Saiyan until he sees that he draws a sword. He's like, wait, are they Soul Reapers? And he just says, what's wrong, Ichigo? Aren't you gonna mess this guy up for what he did to your friend? Come on. I mean, if you don't have it in you, I can always do it for you. Just go Super Saiyan, Ichigo. Let me just transform, Ichigo. I can handle all of this. No, shut up. You look at you. You're getting so beaten up. Just transform already. I think what we can do with Super Saiyan here is actually tie Super Saiyan, because it is a more primal power. We can tie it to his hollow nature. Which, by the way, I'm probably not going to be making any extra different thumbnails for this particular video. I think right now I'm just going to keep it with one or the other. So right now I'm going to keep it mostly with the Naruto thumbnails, which I'm having fun making those, by the way. But yeah, I've been wondering what his Super Saiyan hair would look like when he transforms. Does he get longer? Does he have longer hair in this version? I don't know exactly. Like, I don't think he looks as shaggy as he did when he gained the final Getsuka Tensho. I don't think he looks that has that long a hair, but I do think his hair's maybe a little bit longer, a little bit spikier, and just kind of looks. Ichigo's hair is odd for Super Saiyan transformations, because obviously if you can get a spiky haired individual, that's great. Though Trunks shows you don't need spiky hair. I'm guessing it would look something akin to what future Gohan's hair looks like, although probably just a little bit more spiky. Anyway, yeah, because it's a primal ability tied likely with his hollow nature, Ichigo does not want to transform if he can help it. And so he now starts getting his ass wailed on. Eventually Urahara and Yoruichi come in. They save his ass. Rukia comes in, kicks his butt. He's like, kicks his butt. Now, I will admit, while Rukia was kind of was helping Ichigo out, and she did help him out a little bit, definitely get his confidence back. It's anytime I heard her talk with that speech, I'm like, look, I know you're trying to help, but you actually don't understand what he's going. You legitimately don't get what he is going through, and you have no actual idea of how to help him beyond this. So some of this, I can't remember exactly what she was saying. Some of what she was saying, I'm like, get your head out. You're like, oh, look, I get it, but you are completely unaware of what he's actually having to go through. So just quiet now. Anyway, I digress. So Ichigo is there when Grimjaw shows up. He honestly could easily take Diaroi, but Rukia takes him instead. Grimmjow beats the living hell out of Rukia. By the by, how much stronger Grimmjow was than Byakuya is interesting, because we know Byakuya at least struggled when he fought Ichigo when he did his Bankai the first time. This Ichigo has a little bit more experience with his Bankai now, and Grimmjow was manhandling him. So how much stronger is Grimmjow than Byakuya in the Soul Society? Because honestly, like, no joke, he might eclipse at least the Soul Society equivalent of at least what we saw in the fight. And that's him sealed. Because again, think about it. Byakuya was actually pretty hurt when he got hit by the Getsuga. He had to go use all of his techniques. Ichigo blitzed him for a short time. In fact, Ichigo could have killed him outright if Ichigo really wanted to, in that scene where he just puts the blade to his throat. Grimmjow said, it just gives you average speed. What the hell? Like, there was nothing that Ichigo could do. So Grimmjow, who's only the 6th Espada, by the way, was drastically stronger than the Byakuya that fought Ichigo. Now, again, I don't think Byakuya was going all out, but he was definitely throwing a lot at him. Either way, Ichigo, again, is getting beat to hell. And he goes Super Saiyan and uses the Getsuga. And this first off, I think Grimmjow does survive it. But Ichigo quickly gets out of the Super Saiyan form because he knows what's going to happen. And sure enough, he can sense the hollow coming in. It's like, that's right, that Black Getsuga. That's his technique. It's like, oh, come on. You can't hide from me forever, Ichigo. It's like, just let me go, let me out, and I can take care of it for you. Meanwhile, Grimmjow has probably a nastier mark here than he does in the original. In fact, by a bit. Like, his ribcage might even be exposed here. And so when he heals up, he keeps the scar. We know he kept the scar. But it heals up, but you see kind of like the outline of his bones and stuff like that. And Grimmjow's like, well, Ukiura didn't say anything about that. Heck, you almost took my arm off with that. This should be fun. And then Kaname Tozen shows up. It's like, you, takes his arm off. And Ichigo is, unfortunately, just completely nonplussed. He's completely done. Which leads now into Shinji. Now, Shinji still has been trying to recruit Ichigo. But to no avail until Ichigo finally shows up, finds him. It's like, no, I'm going to make you teach me. Or how do you put it? I'm going to make you show me how to. Is that right? Huh? Fine. And they just clash with each other. Hiyori comes in and she's herself, beats on Ichigo for a while until he just goes crazy and he transforms and nearly kills her just straight out. Like here, he was almost going to kill her anyway. Here, you're just done. Breaks the mask. He snaps out of it, leading all the way up to the confrontation with his hollow. And now someone asked, what if his inner world would be influenced by his Saiyan heritage? The problem here is that I'm not exactly sure how it would be. Because he's still Ichigo. Like, who he is still who he is. Like, I don't see his inner world, the reverse skyscrapers. I don't see his inner world looking much different if he wasn't part Quincy or Hollow or whatever. I don't see it looking very different than that, because that's not, while yes, those are who he is as a as a being, they aren't who he is they are not who he is as a person. That's the thing. Like, any human, for example, would all have their own inner world or whatever, and just becoming a Shinigami wouldn't change what that inner world is, because it's a reflection of your soul. Well, Ichigo being a Saiyan is representative of his power and his heritage. The fact is, he was not raised with the knowledge of being a Saiyan. In fact, hell, his dad and his mom had no idea about Saiyans or that part of the lineage to begin with. And so, it's one of those things where I really don't see there being a Saiyan influence on the inner world. At least not that much. Maybe you could make an argument that there is a sect of his mindscape that looks more like, say, the Saiyan homeworld with its technology. Like, he knows there's a small sect of buildings, or a 20% sect of buildings that look different, and he's wondering what that's about. It's like, don't worry, it's just another aspect of you, Ichigo. Do not worry. That could be just what it is. But unfortunately, it turns out how it really looks in his inner world. To the person who was excited about that, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I really don't think it would affect it very much. At least not in any way that would drastically alter the appearance. What is changed, though, is that him and Zangetsu. Let's be you want to know where Zangetsu is? I am Zangetsu, and they just clash, and so they start fighting it out. It's like, really, you have this awesome blade, Ichigo, and you get beaten up, but it's like, you want to play games, laugh at things. It doesn't matter. I told you, it doesn't matter, Ichigo. And he gets like, what? Bankai! They're standing there, and again, Hollow Ichigo is just beating the hell out of him. Really, you're so scared to use it. You're so scared that you can't. You don't even know how to use this power. And then all of a sudden, the Reiatsu changes, and he just transforms. There he is, his hair spiked up. Honestly, because he's pure white, except for his teeth, although they did change that aspect. I did like the inverse, honestly, the black teeth, but that is what it is. Because of his hair, I would see his hair turning straight black. That would be kind of cool. That's like one of the few colors we have remaining for like transformations in Dragon Ball Z, because we have yellow gold, we have red, we have blue, there's purple, there's pink, rosé, if you will, there's green, there's white, there's silver gray. So what are we missing now? Black hair transformation. I don't see brown working. Orange. The only problem would be Goku's outfit. Now, if Goku theoretically went to the blue outfit that he has in GT and the DBZ, well, that's different. I'm trying to think of all the colors and all the colors there are, like all the colors that can really stand out. I don't, unless you start mixing matching colors, like the Dragon Ball AF characters. What was that, like Incisor or something? So like black strands with like a white hairdo or something like that. Unless you're to mix and match, I don't see a lot of color options left for transformations, really. But, I don't know. Then again, you could, and I'm ranting at the moment, but you could mix. Ultra Instinct, for example, is an avenue, because it isn't technically a transformation, although it is. But it's a transformation that, in theory, could be applied to other transformations. An Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan, for example. Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan Blue. So you could apply that silvery white to one of the other, like, so you'd get like a silver blue or a silver gold, something like that. Metallic looking. I'm spitballing here right now. Point being, he transforms, his hair is black. Ichigo tries transforming too, but he's now completely, I mean, there's still, the fight is basically kind of how it is in the original, but again, Hollow Ichigo is just far more primal, and he suddenly notices that when he transforms, a black tail grows out of him. This is another representation of the Saiyan side. Saying, "Is this really all you have, Ichigo? You have this great, amazing sword. You have all this power, and yet you're weak." I refuse, Ichigo. I refuse to listen to a king who's weaker than I am. And so everyone is trying to keep Ichigo contained outside the real world, but that Saiyan transformation really is doing a number on that. Like I said, while there are certainly individuals right now who can still clap Ichigo no problem, even with Super Saiyan, those individuals shrink the stronger Ichigo gets. And unfortunately, none of the Vizards are that strong. Like, inherently, if you take out the hollows and all that, they're like Shinji, I think, is stronger than Ichigo, at least at that time. Hachi, again, is stronger. All the captains, honestly, technically, I think, are stronger, except for maybe Kensei. Kensei, let's not mince words, kind of sucks. And I like Kensei, but he does not live up to whatever hype he has. Anyway. So eventually Ichigo goes through the motions. He goes through those hallucinations he has. At least in the anime, he had like 3. It was Byakuya, the leader of the Batsu, I forget, Karin or something like that. Kayan, I can't remember. And then Zaraki was the one that actually happened in the canon. It's like, you need a reason to fight. A fight. You know, you get stronger. We get stronger to fight, or do we fight to get stronger? And so fight instinct, and he finally grasps back to snaps back to reality, as Eminem would say, and does what he pulls out the sword they get stabbed with, just powers up, and now he's got that look. He's got that cold Super Saiyan look on his face. Just comes and just runs him through. It's like, well, I guess you did have a little killer instinct after all. And so fine, you're the one in charge now, but just remember, at any point I could kick you off your throne, Ichigo. And so he ultimately, blows up, and Ichigo gains control of his hollow mask, which, like I said, looks like a mix of his standard hollow mask and I want to say Love's hollow mask. So it's kind of like a skeletal Oni, but a little bit more like an 8 feature to represent the Saiyan. So he's training. Orihime comes, finds him. He clashes again with Grimmjow. Only this time, what I think really ultimately happens is his Super Saiyan form is tied with his hollow mask, which means instead of the alleged 10 times multiplier, which as far as I know has never been confirmed, but that's what most people think the hollow mask is. He's now getting more of a 50 times multiplier. Basically, because the hollow is kind of connected with his primal nature, his Saiyan nature, it is merged into his Super Saiyan form. So basically, he now can access his Super Saiyan form on command and it not really have that much stress on his body. Furthermore, I will say this, is while he's not going to have the time limit he had originally, 11 seconds, he will still have a time limit. But he will be able to keep the Super Saiyan form. It's just going to be like a weaker Super Saiyan form. Not like 50 to 10 or whatever, but still, it'll just be weakened is all it is. So I'm going to say maybe like 30 seconds to start with. And that fight starts, it goes down, and he is murdering Grimmjow. Just because he was whooping his ass beforehand, too. And just as before, Grimmjow is like, what the hell? And just like before, he's about to release his Zanpakuto. And I think he's literally almost there because he's also missing an arm, until Ulquiorra shows up. Now, because he's also said that Grimmjow is about to kind of maybe go a little overboard here. Because they already had caught Orihime, it's all good. Ichigo, though, is about to go straight in at Ulquiorra. But then his hollow mask breaks. He's still in Super Saiyan form, and Ulquiorra just boom grabs it. Unfortunately, we don't have time to deal with you, Ichigo Kurosaki. Though he is, instead of just holding it lightly, he's he's stronger than he looks. And all of a sudden, Ulquiorra just got his like, oh crap! And Ichigo just kind of boom, he kind of like gets scuffed by the side. Damn it! Orihime! And so it's like he gets back, tries to form the mask again. Mask can't form at the moment. He's still in Super Saiyan, but now he's injured. Should note, again, yeah, he had the 50 times multiplier in Super Saiyan, but let's be honest, Ulquiorra, in base form, when Ichigo fought him, with his hollow mask, in Hueco Mundo the first time, all he was able to do was burn away his shirt. If you want a multiplier, roughly speaking, for that, this Ichigo was already multiple times stronger than when he was in the Soul Society. You had the alleged 10 times multiplier that Bankai allows. You then had the alleged 10 times multiplier that the Hollow Mask allows. That's an Ichigo that's 100 times stronger than base. And all he could do was burn his shirt jacket. That's it. So, no, I don't think it's unreasonable that when that damn Hollow Mask breaks and Ichigo loses a chunk of his power, that Ulquiorra, while impressed by the level of power, like surprised by it too, it's still not enough to get past him. So, again, if you think I'm nerfing Ichigo, remember, I'm also trying to do a creative, interesting story here. Because if Ichigo just suddenly starts murdering everyone, by the way, I don't think he could, but if he could, then, Ichigo's like, well, haha, I'll just take on everyone, haha. And maybe that's what you wanted, and I'm sorry. By the by, seeing as this is where we're going to end them going to rescue Orihime. one small note. One small note. And this is just a pet peeve of mine. I noticed going through some comments a while back, a conversation that was starting with one of the viewers of mine, a longtime viewer, and again, we've had disagreements before, but they said something that I want to just kind of address, is that they meant, basically, they asked the question of, and I'm paraphrasing it, but in the general gist of, when you do a insert character here and here, why don't you adhere to the rules of the universe? Or why are you just, I can't remember exactly what it was, or why are you just not throwing them into the universe? And I'm like, well, because I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to keep it still a story that works. Well, why don't you give them key, like I think Mewtwo versus Goku was one, or Mewtwo in Dragon Ball Z was one, or Sonic in Dragon Ball Z was one. Well, why does he give him key, or Spider-Man give him key? It's like, well, I'm trying to do this, and just that doesn't mean he inherently does this. It's like, and then they said the question of, said the answer, roughly speaking, of, yeah, but you know what people are asking for when they ask for that particular what if. And I looked at that, and I didn't respond, because it's been a while since that conversation was active. And I'm like, but I want to say this, like, look, I would caution you when you make those comments to understand that you don't speak for everyone else. You might speak for some of your friends, and you definitely speak for yourself, but you don't speak for everyone else. If that's what you want to see, that's great. And I'm sorry I'm not delivering that for you, but do not assume you speak for other people. Do you speak for other people? It's like, well, that's what people want. No, you don't know necessarily what people want. Because while I don't please everyone, based on what I see from my likes and dislikes, I please enough people. Now, look, am I saying I am opposed to doing something that a certain way? No, it's just the way I've done things. So if the story isn't designed in the way you like, I am sorry for that. But please don't try to speak for other people. That way lies ego, and that's not something we should have. That's something we need a lot less of on the internet, is ego. And look, we all have an ego. It's just, is your ego kept in check, or does your ego run wild? Mine, I like to believe I keep in check, but maybe once in a while I get a little too full of myself. Maybe. It's possible. And if that's the case, I will try to do better. But that was just something I wanted to add. Because the conversation, the whole why you nerfing Ichigo thing made me think of that. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching part 3. Thanks for watching part 3. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. See you for the next one. I've got the last Who Would Win of the week of Who Would Win tomorrow. Excuse me. Ooh. I got the Pokemon team video, and I got box office. Not surprisingly, Dune's going to win the box office. Until then, thanks for watching, and see you later.